You ever get that feeling you're playing a game, but you don't quite know all the rules? I mean, from the interest rate on your credit card to the unspoken expectations in your closest relationships, our lives are shaped by these powerful, hidden systems. Turns out there's a kind of invisible architecture all around us.
So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pull back the curtain on that blueprint. We're going to make the invisible, well, visible, and really see how these structures influence pretty much everything we do.
So here's the plan. We're going to go on a bit of a journey, starting big with the massive systems that govern our world, and then we're going to zoom all the way in, right down to the intimate code that operates in our own homes. You'll see how all these different pieces, from the global to the personal, have their own hidden rules. And by the end, I think you'll see a common thread running through it all.
All right, let's jump right in. We're starting at the macro level, the biggest system of them all, the market. You know, we talk about it like it's a force of nature, something like the weather. But is it really?
You hear this all the time, right? That markets need to be free and that any government interference is just plain bad. But the thing is, the reality is, well, it's a lot different. As economist Ha-Joon Chong points out, there's really no such thing as a truly free market. Every single market out there is built on a foundation of rules.
I mean, just think about some of these rules for a second. We accept them so completely, we don't even see them as regulations anymore. Do we think of the ban on child labor as interfering with the market? Of course not. We see it as a moral baseline that makes the market possible in the first place. So these rules aren't the exceptions, they are the architecture of the market itself.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that the real debate isn't about freedom versus regulation. It's about which rules we choose. What we decide can and can't be sold, who gets to participate and under what conditions. These are all political and moral choices that literally design the economic world we live in.
Okay, so if the market is this big architecture of rules, then how do we protect ourselves inside of it? Well, that brings us to our next hidden system, the language of security. And we're going to look at one in particular, the language of insurance.
I mean, we all buy it, right? But for most of us, insurance is basically a foreign language. It's the super complex system of rules and definitions, a really critical part of our financial architecture, and yet, nobody ever really teaches us how to speak it fluently, do they?
Okay, let's take a term you might see, actual cash value. What does that even mean? Well, it means if your 10-year-old laptop gets stolen, you're not getting money for a brand new one. Nope, you get what that specific used laptop was worth at that moment. And that one little word, depreciation, that's a hidden rule that can have huge financial consequences for you. And here's another big one, liability. This isn't just some abstract concept. It's the invisible code that governs our responsibility to other people. So if a guest slips on your icy sidewalk, this is the rule that determines your financial obligation. It's a really key part of our social and financial contract with each other.
Okay, so now let's compare that actual cash value with this term, replacement cost. This one does buy you that brand new laptop. The difference between just those two terms is a perfect example of how this hidden language, this secret architecture, directly impacts your security and your bank account. Seriously, understanding these rules is everything.
But these hidden rules aren't just about our finances. They go deeper. They shape our most fundamental social structures. So let's zoom in again, this time to the architecture that's at the very core of our lives, the family.
Now, to see how a family can be viewed as a kind of design system, I want to look at a really powerful example from Catholic thought. It's the concept of the domestic church. Now, in this framework, the family isn't just, a living arrangement. It's seen as a foundational community with a very specific purpose, a place with an active spiritual and social mission.
And this mission is a really active one. The architecture of the family, in this particular view, is designed for action, to guard, to reveal, and to communicate love. It's a system designed to be this shrine of life and love, where people can become who they're truly meant to be.
All right, for our final zoom in, we're going to the most personal level of all, the invisible architecture inside our relationships. This is where you find all the unspoken codes and, you could say, the different operating systems that are so often at play between people.
Here's where we see a fascinating contrast, and this comes from the work of psychologist Dr. Kevin Leman. His theory is basically this. While both partners want love, their core needs often get expressed very differently. He suggests that for a lot of men, what's paramount is respect and feeling needed. But for many women, the primary drivers are things like affection and honest, open communication.
And this framework leads to some pretty counterintuitive ideas.
For example, Dr. Lehman says that for many women, sharing is the path to intimacy. But for a lot of men, sharing is not the primary key to his heart. And look, this isn't about one being good or bad. It's just a different operating system. A woman might want to talk through everything, while a man might feel like he's completely run out of words.
So what this really suggests is that understanding this hidden code is absolutely vital. It's not about trying to change the other person, right? It's about learning their language, about understanding the unique architecture of their needs. And at the end of the day, success in that relationship system really depends on it.
Okay, let's pull all the way back out now. We've looked at the invisible architecture in our economy, in our security, in our families, and even in our relationships. So, what does it all mean when you put it together?
The big picture is this. From the biggest systems imaginable down to the most intimate ones, we are living inside worlds that have been designed. They aren't just forces of nature. No, they are built on rules, on definitions, on missions, and on codes, whether we're consciously aware of them or not.
And what's really crucial is that the core assumptions baked into these systems have massive consequences. I mean, look at the macro level. Han-Joon Chang argues that if you design an economic system that assumes everyone is fundamentally selfish, guess what? You'll create a world full of selfish behavior. The architecture literally shapes the outcome.
Then you zoom all the way into the micro level, and you see the same thing. A simple, hidden emotional driver can design our most personal interactions. Understanding a rule like the one Dr. Lemon proposes, that deep down a man wants to please his partner, that can completely change how a couple communicates and solves problems. It's like a tiny piece of code that can rewrite the entire program.
So here's the ultimate takeaway. These systems, they don't have to be invisible anymore, because once you see the blueprint, you gain a whole new level of understanding and a whole new level of agency. You can start to navigate the world with your eyes wide open, making choices that are way more conscious and ultimately more effective.
Because once you truly see that you're living in a designed world, you realize something incredible. You have the power to be a designer too. So the question is no longer just, what are the rules? The real question becomes, how are you going to build your world?